Hi guys. Alright, so for those of you who are struggling, one more video. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to watch the video. I want you to screenshot hand positions when you think you're having a problem with that part so that you can study how I'm holding my hands. And I want you to watch the video a second time and take notes. Because you literally, some of you need to just memorize the steps, because you can throw perfect pots when I'm there talking you through it, and then when I'm not there you forget a step and then it's a disaster. So let's just throw another one. And I'm working with 3.5 pounds of clay because I'm going to make a really big cylinder so you can see inside of it. I'm also using my very handsome assistant. That's Coy, my youngest, and he's here to be my hands when my hands are muddy. Alright, let's get started. So, take your ball, slam it down in the middle, turn your wheel on slowly, and smack it around a little bit to make sure that it's sealed good, and also to kind of preemptively center it a little bit. Now we're going to speed the wheel up. And you need your wheel going pretty fast for this part. Wet your clay, wet your hands. And my first push is always down just to make sure that it's sealed good. Now we're going to start coning. I'm going to apply pressure and move the clay up. Now, my top's still not perfect, but this part is getting slightly better. Wet the clay again. Wet it so that it gets water all the way down it. Put your hands slightly off-centered so you can address the top. Push down and then move it around as you push down to the bottom. So now your clay is starting to get a little more centered. Some of you have this problem because you literally just don't move your clay enough. You're afraid of it, or you think, I'm so close to having it centered that I don't need a big movement, but you still need a good size movement. Now, it's really important that you continue to wet your clay every time. Now, the back side of my hand is what's really pushing that clay all the way to the bottom. Because sometimes you guys go, is it centered? And it's centered up here, but it's not centered down at the bottom. So that's a good way to check it. How do you check your clay? Put your hand here. If there's no movement, then you know it's centered. You shouldn't have to ask me that one, because that one everyone can check. Now, here's the big mistake everyone makes. Cup your clay with your hands. When you go like this to push in, you don't know where the center is. You're guessing. But if you cup your hands with the clay, it's easier to find the center. Now, we're making what we call the Taylor Swift heart hands. And I'm putting my divot in here. 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to fill that with water. Since this is about 3 pounds, I'm going to put a little bit of a bigger divot because I need more water. Okay, my clay is wet, my hands are wet. Now, my thumbs, this is the part you guys need to be screenshotting. Look like this. They stay together. Don't get them wide, because when you get them wide, then you're pulling your clay out at the top. I'm just trying to make a straight down divot. down to what gets me about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. It's just a straight down divot. Koi, can you show the inside for me? Tilt it a little more. There you go. Okay, this is another big mess up area for everybody. All right, 2 fingers like this. Do not pull this way. 2 fingers like this. You can either put this hand here or you can put 2 fingers here. Make sure that clay goes all the way so that your fingers are down into the bottom. Using the rest of these fingers to support the wall. Pull straight back towards you. Koi, can you show me inside? Yeah. See how the bottom wall is just as straight as the top wall? Now I'm going to get my sponge in here and I'm going to clean up the bottom. That's a little more, huh? Thank you. Okay. Water again. All right. Now, no crab fingering. We're not crabs, we're potters. So this side and this side. Let me turn around the corner here so you can see. Feel free to take a screenshot here if you're not sure what you're doing. This is your supporting hand, which is in here straight. This is my pulling hand. It's a little dry, so let me get it wet. All right, now I'm pushing in with some pressure. And I'm pulling up, but I don't need as much pressure on the top as I do on the bottom. Why? Because this is where the meat is. This is the thick, fat part. This part up here is a little on the skinnier side. So it doesn't need as much up top as it does down below. Now, every time you make that pull, you should see clay move. If you're not seeing clay move, it's because you're not getting enough pressure. Always address your bottom every time. Come back in for another pull. If you're not sure about pulling, you can put a little divot here, and that kind of gives your knuckle a place to get in and rest for pulling up. I know everyone gets scared here. Just continue to pull forward. Don't stop. Now, I had some clay come off here, and that's okay. But even when that happened, I didn't stop and I didn't panic. Now, most of you are using a sponge after you get your first couple pulls in, which is what I do too. So I call it the fat finger, and I use that sponge to pull up on my next pull. And what that's doing is that's pulling up, but it's also smoothing out the outside of your pot and making it look nice. Now, where's the meat? Down here. Every time you make a pull, you need to be addressing what it is that you have to do. Don't think of it as a pot and hole. Think of it as this part needs to get much skinnier. This part's almost perfect. So through here, I'm applying more pressure. And as I get up here, I'm really just giving it that same guiding pull for support. So, this hand's always giving support. Wherever you are touching on the inside, your inside fingers should be giving support at the same place as your out. So my hand is coming up, but my fingers are working in unison with each other the whole time. So when I'm pulling, if this were inside, this is what you would see. All right, Koi, my handsome cameraman, can you put the camera up so they can watch my hand on the inside for this next pull? Okay. I don't know if you can come over here and get a little bit of a better angle.
It's weird.
I know. It is weird.
Is it weird?
Right about there.
No.
This is a lost
This is
cause.
so weird.
You know what? Just put it back. It's a lost cause. You can't see in there.
Yeah, you can.
It's too dark. Yeah, we tried. All right, Koi, here we go. More pressure in the bottom because that's where the meat is. That's where the thick, heavy clay that needs to move. When we squeeze, and we're coming up for support, that clay is moving up. It's got to go somewhere. Now, my top's getting a little on the thin side, so I'm going to just use my fingers. I gotta get over here where you can see. And I'm going to just kind of apply a little pressure down to round that out, or you can use your sponge. Just apply a little bit of pressure to round that out. And because I still have quite a bit of clay down here, I think I've got room for one more pull. But I'm going to take my finger and give myself a little line for pulling. Get the water out of the bottom of my pot and kind of smooth out my interior wall. More pressure at the bottom, pressure, 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 pulling up, pulling up, pulling up. Now I'm going to start to relieve the pressure a little because my top does not need the same pressure that my bottom needed.
Oh my gosh.
Now, that is one big, tall, giant cylinder.
Wow.
One big, tall, pretty cylinder. Now look, just because you made a cylinder doesn't mean it has to stay that shape. The cylinder is just the pulling technique we're using. Now, if you want, you can come in here and put a little bit of pressure.
It's getting shaky.
And totally adjust the shape of this thing. All right, so there you go, guys. I'm sure it doesn't look that big from where you're at, but I promise you, can I hold that up? That it's not little. Rewatch it. Write down the steps. Study the parts you're forgetting, but memorize the steps. So I'll see you guys in class later. I'm going to go ahead and do one more video to send you guys, and it's going to be on how to change to a bowl shape. See you guys later.